Gratitude Power Hour with Shelby.
You know those people that just show up and just raw dog life?
Makes me want a hot dog real bad.
And Jason.
Bro, I'm raw dogging life.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
A sobriety and mental health podcast that dives into the realm of overcoming substance abuse through the power of willingness, humility, and gratitude. Together, we can thrive and also have a little fun while we're at it. Now, here are your hosts, Shelby and Jason.
Welcome back. It's Gratitude Power Hour with Shelby and Jason. It's been a while.
Hello.
You don't know how long.
You don't. You'll never know.
You don't know how long it's been. But life is lifing. So, we had to take a little recording break. But stuff is going on. And I find myself, with all the therapy and groups and all the stuff I've been doing over the last 4 months, now that there's like a recording mechanism, I almost don't want to have the conversations so we can save it for this.
Yes.
But in a healthy way. Like I'm still having the conversations. Yeah, I just don't relay all the information to Shelby so we can bring this here and this can be original and not planned because no one wants to listen to that nonsense.
Literally looking at our notes and there are 4 bullet points that are like one word each. So
that's my style too. Yeah.
This is not planned.
That's my style. That's like when I do speeches, people are like, how do you know what you're going to say? And I said, well, I'm not going to read it.
No.
Yeah. So, hello, everybody. We're glad you're back listening. And if you're here for the first time, welcome.
Welcome.
This is Just Gratitude Power Hour. She's Shelby. I'm Jason. Again, just to kind of briefly recap what we want to accomplish with this show, hopefully along with all of you, is to talk about our mental health and our recovery journeys and, successes, failures, things we're running into real time, which is something we're going to get into today. Definitely want to, like we've said in our previous episodes, we're not professionals or anything like that. Just people who are going through it and want to talk about it and want to hear your feedback, want to hear your thoughts, want to hear stuff you're going through. We won't mention names or anything like that, but we will tell your story and we will talk about it. Or if you have questions, we'll ask them on the show and we'll kind of talk about our thoughts. We want it to be very interactive. If you have a story, if you have any feedback, if you want to reach out and say hello, whatever, email is gratitudepowerhour@gmail.com. Hopefully we'll hear from you and we'll be able to get the dialogue going because, that's what recovery is all about. A lot of dialogue.
So much.
Yes, so much. Healing dialogue.
We're out here healing shit.
Yes, healing and shit, right? So let's do some check-ins. That's kind of how we'll start each episode. And we've both been through various programs. I've been through a few more. At this point, probably 4.
Are you flexing?
No, it's not a flex. See, this is the one thing where you have a lot of experience. It doesn't make you great at something. Yeah, it means I need more work. Friend, I need it from multiple places. So yeah, you kind of do a check-in and, what your mood is, willingness. And we kind of described our definition of willingness in episode 1, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
Not necessarily just willingness for the day, because I think a lot of people confuse, willingness. It's like, am I willing to do what I need to do today is kind of like a higher arching definition of it. You wake up, do you feel like leaving the house? Do you feel like doing anything you have to do? And then are things that you usually would enjoy, do they feel like a chore? Do they feel like work? Like, what's your willingness to get things done that day? And then let's see. So it's mood, willingness, emotion, and what? Accomplishments. Yes. Okay. So with that, Shelby, check in.
Hello. My mood today has been probably around a 75. This is on a scale of 100, by the way. 75 today. Willingness, a bit higher. I'd say an 85. I still, even though having a lower mood, I still was like, I know the things that I need to do for myself to make that mood better, and did them all. And my emotions are, this has kind of been an emotion the last week or two, but apathetic, just going through the motions and not really having positive, negative feelings about things.
Great.
Yeah, but also content. I would say there's some motivation there that's shown up this past week. I've really kicked ass at doing all my brain things. So yeah, I guess that would be my accomplishments for the week. I hate when people do this, but I'm like, I'm going to do it. I've been trying to hit 10,000 steps a day, and I have. So, and it feels good. It's an accomplishment. Like when I hit it at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, that's good. Like if your brain doesn't feel good and you move your body, it's like, hell yeah, at least I move my body, Yeah.
Do you have your fitness watch mocking you like mine?
Oh, please, like time to stand. I'm like, oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is it time
Mine
to stand?
says time to walk.
Yeah.
You've been sitting for over an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe take a walk is what it
Yeah.
says. I'm like, all right. I've just been exercise shamed by my armband.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel more motivated now that I've hit a week of doing those things consistently. So trying to build new habits. So that's me. How are you? What's your check-in?
Let's see. It's interesting. We're recording this at the end of the week,
I
so
know.
I'm a little spent, but it still hasn't stopped me from doing everything. So I'll go with like an 85 today, 85 mood, 85 willingness. And the only reason it's a lower score is because it does feel like it's requiring additional effort to do things because I'm just tired.
Big changes in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm not like mentally weighed down or anything. I think it's just I need like a day or two of just kind of not doing nothing but doing less.
Yeah, like a mental break.
A little bit.
Your brain's been on overdrive.
For a long time, and it's functioning again. So it's
right?
like
you got a superpower. Sobriety's your superpower.
Yeah, I guess. So 85.
Emotions. How do you feel?
Emotions. And we're gonna tell a funny story about emotions after I give mine. What would that be?
Everyone Google the feelings wheel. There are a lot of emotions. So just riddle me that.
Yeah. Accomplished and what else?
Dig deep.
Well, no, I mean I'm pretty I feel pretty relaxed.
You seem relaxed.
Yeah, plus I'm kind of like a shark. So, like if I'm moving, like I'm intense. Like at work today, I'm flying around because I can't not work. It drives me crazy when people are just like chilling on their phone or something. I'm like, no, I need to be moving. But yeah, then I come home and it's like an immediate stop. So I'm like, ugh. So it was like trying to read something to like stimulate my brain before you got here to record. So I didn't just start watching mindless videos and drifting. Yeah. So, and then accomplishments. Well, I started school this week and I worked hours that I won't be working now that school is starting. So I kind of would work and then go straight to school. And I did that 2 days in a row. So that was a lot. And then, yeah, I'm going to a late night AA meeting tonight. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to, have my dream of doing nothing this evening. I'm going to still go be productive in my recovery. But yeah, no, the funny story is, we've got two. One about check-ins is when people would check in, they would start off with the negative emotion or the less descriptive or energetic emotion and then add a but. And then say something. So, for example, it'd be like, I'm irritated but happy. And I just kind of, I don't know if people listening, you kind of, when you stare at someone with like your mouth open because you're a little confused how they're irritated and happy at the same time. But, whatever.
That's a dialectic. Okay?
Yeah, I know. It's just that
no
choice.
Buts, only and. Yeah. You can be two emotions.
I'm a little irritated but happy. Yeah. Okay. So like Shelby said, there's a feelings wheel. It's a real thing. And it's almost like if you're writing something and you're sick of using the same words, or possibly you don't have a vocabulary that has a lot of words for certain things, the thesaurus for emotions. So it'll go through like categories and all these different emotions. And like one of them, I was reading it and I'm like, who the hell's ever going to say this? And it was sexy. This is when Shelby and I were in a program together. And I'm like, on my last day, like, I can't wait. I'm going to mic drop like sexy in my emotional check-in. And Then some random that we had never met before showed up to a
You've been
group
like 60 years old too.
and just said, like,
Baller.
I'm feeling sexy. And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
You
Son of a bitch.
sexy.
Yeah. He totally ruined it, but I did it anyway when I went on my last day anyway. But yeah, so there are some funny ones on there, but I think the general point is for people to not say fine, good,
Good, happy.
or your
such a-
sarcastic words.
Right.
Like when I was at a residential program, there was one therapist who was always like, another example would be peachy. You know you're not peachy. No one says peachy, so don't say peachy. And even though she did it 5 times right then. So
It's fine.
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, when a woman says it's fine, it's not,
It's not.
in case you were wondering.
Mhm.
If you were on the fence, just always err on the side of not fine. Not fine at all. I'm very single as a result of of my misunderstanding of fine. Yeah, so topic this week is something that like these things aren't generally planned. They happen organically. And it's something that I found myself running into over the last couple of weeks. And I brought it up to Shelby, and she is further along in sobriety than me. So the fact that it still exists, and it does make sense to me more that it exists farther down the road, whereas like I shouldn't be necessarily running into it, but I think it's due to how much work I've done in a short period of time. And that's, I mean, I don't know if it's a clinical term or whatever, but it's recovery fatigue. Or I think I've even described it as like treatment fatigue.
Yeah.
But, that's more so the treatment fatigue one is more so if you're actually like in a program, which like I'm in AA, but I'm not, no, I'm no longer in like an inpatient or an outpatient program.
Right.
So now it's moved to recovery fatigue.
You are in active recovery,
Yes.
as am I.
And the way I guess we would kind of define that is, and I don't know that I can't say everyone does this, but it just seems like it would be, and it's how you're kind of directed in various programs you're in and in AA. And if you have a sponsor or if you have your therapist or all of the above, it's to put recovery first, especially early on to get yourself in a discipline of restructuring your thoughts and understanding things in different ways and not dwelling on the past, but learning from it. There's so many different things that factor into it. But if you're doing all of these things at the same time, like I was, it was only momentary, but it almost felt like it became like I'm checking a box.
Yeah.
A bit.
Yep.
And that just sent off red flags to me because, ordinarily it's not a thought I would internalize or keep to myself. I just don't think that I was aware that it's something that I thought was just like a passing thought, but it would sit there and it would fester. And then who knows, like the longer you think about something, big term in recovery is like resentments. Like it'll become some kind of a resentment, but it's not a resentment to a person.
Right.
It's literally like, you're like, my whole life is recovery and all I do is recovery. I have no life outside of recovery, which is kind of true for me, but I've set myself up that way. So in essence, I'd be getting frustrated with myself for what I'm planning for myself. But I made sure to bring it up to my therapist, to bring it up to my support system. I brought it up to Shelby. I brought it up to I'm in different group texts from programs that I've been in. I brought it up at AA meetings because I didn't want it sitting in here. But this is my first experience to it. And I really appreciated everybody's feedback regarding like where they are in their sobriety. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be sobriety. It could be just recovering your mental health in general. Like, it's, I think, you say like substance use, like alcoholism or drug abuse. It's not a drinking disease. It's a thinking disease.
Right.
It's because you can't handle what's going on in your brain. You turn to a substance as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So, you don't necessarily have to be a recovering addict of any kind, but someone who's working a strong program to improve their mental health.
Right.
And their thought process and stuff like that.
Right.
So,
Really making like any change
Yeah.
and your well-being.
Right.
Like even if it, fitness or whatever, like I'm sure you get fatigue from that as well, like trying to make those changes because you're working your brain in a different way, and that's exhausting.
Right. For sure. But so that's my word vomit version of it. But I know that you're, over 2 years at this point. And when I brought it up to you, you said that you still deal with it.
Yes.
So let's walk through that.
Yeah. So I have been, I would say I'm over 2 years sober from alcohol. And the first year, I don't remember what we called it. I was dry. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't drinking, but I wasn't doing any like actual work on the reasonings why I couldn't control my drinking anymore. It was just like, oh, I stopped drinking. Okay. Like, this is cool. But then transpired to using weed, other substance, cross addiction. And so I've been like raw dogging reality since March of 2024. So coming up on a year. And obviously 2024 was a big year of obviously going to program and meeting you and like really putting in the work. But, we ended that in June. So it's been months, and, you try to, have the same routine and do the things and use the skills that you learned there, but you don't have that accountability. So it's just been a lot of me continuously trying to do these things and getting down on myself when I don't. And like, it's just this constant step back, step forward. And I just don't feel like I'm moving as forward as I want to. And it's like, I think I talked about this with my therapist, because it's like with the new year and everything, like, what do you want to bring into 2025? And, I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
But she did make a good point. Like 2024 was such a heavy year of focusing on like, what am I removing from my life? What thought patterns am I trying to remove from my mind? And it's like I'm taking all these things out, and how we talked about on our last episode, filling the void. I haven't replaced it with any, my routines and all that, the good things that I've learned in program and all the work I've done in therapy, but I haven't been adding things to my life, like fun and other ways of connection other than this, group that we have. I haven't branched out to anything else. So, it's recovery fatigue still, because I don't feel like I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
In a way. And it's like, I don't know what to do, or, I think I know what to do. I took a pole dancing class, and that was phenomenal and so fun. And, you just need to, you can't just focus on the negative for so long, or just like everything is so serious.
Right.
Which it is. This is a very serious thing and can harm you in a lot of ways. But once you get far enough past that, I'm not saying I'm not at risk for a lapse or a relapse. That's always at the forefront of my mind. But it was kind of a red flag of that feeling of like, I don't know what to do. It's like, okay, well, the last time you didn't know what to do, you used. So, yeah, I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Long-winded version.
And I try not to, like, I really try to get to the bottom of things, but it's not like spinning out. It's more, like, I feel like I've made some progress, and it is time to, and I'm air quoting a bit, but like have some fun. But I feel like I'm at a point where I don't really know what that means.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
what is fun now? And I don't mean, like, I did not need substances to have fun. Like, I can laugh, I coached, there are things in my life that did not involve substances until the end, where it kind of crept into everything because I just didn't know what else to do. And your brain just rewires in terms of like how fake joy even happens.
Right.
It's all like
a good
substance
thing happens.
related.
Oh, I need a drink. A bad thing happens. Oh,
Right.
I'm going to drink.
Nothing happened. I need a drink.
I'm
Boredom.
bored.
Right. I don't know. People kind of say, and I get annoyed, but it's more like I get annoyed because like people always say things that all they're trying to do is help. But when you say something that's very open-ended, like, oh, maybe you should get a hobby. It's like, okay.
Okay.
But
thank
like,
you.
I mean, I remember when we were in program together and they handed out that it was
The
like a
hobby.
4-page sheet. It was like double-sided 2 pages. And it was like all these things. And I'm like, I didn't circle anything.
No.
I'm like, nothing on here. Also, as I'm going through it, I'm like, most of those things cost money.
Right.
Like take a walk free.
Right.
Most of those hobbies are like,
Right.
they
So
cost
you walk.
money. Yeah. So it's kind of like,
Well, I will say you have added a podcast. That's always been a thing for you.
yeah.
You've done it in past lives. And now that this is back, I feel like we've talked about this being like a fun thing, a new thing for me.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it. I think it's such a cool outlet and something new.
Yeah.
So it's just like you just have to try stuff. Like really pole dancing. Like what?
Right.
I don't know why that.
You're doing things that are outside of recovery, right? Like it's funny. Like, what am I doing? I'm doing a podcast about mental health and recovery. I started school this week, but I'm going to school to learn how to be a recovery support specialist.
See,
It's
but
like,
you found a passion.
no, I know.
You
I
very
know.
much found
like
a
I'm not
passion.
even like crapping on it. It's just kind of like, okay, like pole dancing. I mean, you're not, considering a career change unless we have to have a different
I have a plan B.
different
just in
conversation.
case.
All right.
In this
well, that's
economy,
good.
Jason.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair. I don't think that's a route that's going to work for me.
It might.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe I'll take a class. No, that's not happening. That's not me being closed-minded. That's me being a realist.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a pole dancing class. Just logistically, that doesn't seem like science-wise, it doesn't seem like it's going to work.
If any of you have hobbies that you love, that you tried for the first time and were like, yeah, this might be something, email us. We want to know what you're doing.
gratitudepowerhour@gmail.com. Yeah. Just give us a big, long, and please don't go Google
Yeah, don't.
sober hobbies and cut and paste.
Free sober hobbies.
Because we'll know. We'll know that you didn't type it.
We have ChatGPT.
Yeah, we'll know because, it's different font. Come on. We've all been there.
Yeah.
We all cut and paste. But, some of the feedback I got, actually, most of the feedback I got initially, so people's response in the moment was, it's not like I was like, I'm not seeking, it wasn't like trying to get like positive reinforcement. Was it like validation?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not what I was looking for. I was literally looking for, have you run into this? If so, what do you do?
Yeah.
And most people, at least right off the top, said, it's just good that you
The awareness
brought
of
this
it.
up.
Yeah.
Like, would you have done that before? I said, no, but I also wouldn't have thought, it wouldn't have been a second thought that it was a bad thought that was going to fester and turn into something else, because you're not aware of it.
Right.
Until you focus on it and you learn about what thoughts can do and where they grow from. And if they're not addressed, you might push them back somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But then it could be a minute thing happens. Like, it's like filling a bucket to almost the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then that one drop goes in and it spills over the sides. Yeah. Like, you never know what's going to push you over the edge, like the metaphorical edge. Like, you have no idea. But I just know that all of a sudden, when I was like really in my like darkest time, I would be thinking about the most random stuff, and it was like they were in fast forward.
Yeah.
Just think of all these things that I'm like, why is that even coming up?
Right.
When was the last time that happened to me that I thought about it? I think I met that person once, just random stuff that was all in there, and everything came to a head.
Mm-hmm.
So I accepted the compliments in the sense that I was proud of myself for saying it. And I mean, I didn't just say it to one person. Like, I told everybody.
Yeah.
Like, anybody who would listen, I'm like, here's what I'm running into.
That's good.
Yeah. Like, because I also appreciate multiple perspectives, because everyone's recovery journey or mental health journey is different.
Yep.
Like, we all have fundamentally similar things that we've experienced or that are diagnosed or whatever, but who knows? I mean, there's so much that factors into it.
Right.
It's crazy. You've got the chemical part. You've got genetics. all kinds of things that are kind of against you before you even are exposed to anything. They're just a part of you, and you don't know. And then they lay dormant. Something wakes it up, and then it doesn't go back to
Floodgates.
sleep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I'm glad to hear that someone farther down the road has run into that too, because I don't think that we do one episode on like the void and that like ends the topic, because this is such a massive shift in
Identity
identity,
and life.
priorities,
Yep.
people
Mm.
that you surround yourself with,
Right.
your support system, your openness,
Mm-hmm.
your obviously willingness. We were talking about kind of the cornerstones or the pillars of this podcast is kind of like the cornerstones of sobriety, where you need willingness, you need humility, and the biggest piece is gratitude, but not just where you're wandering around thanking everybody for everything. I mean, that's like, I think that's the extreme, but recognizing things around you that you normally take for granted or just don't even realize because you're so in your own way.
Mm-hmm.
Not just filling okay, so I used to drink all the time and now I've got all this time. Now what do I do with my time? It's like, no, it's how do you spend your time is one thing, but like, what's the quality of it?
Right.
Can you find fun in mundane things that you normally would have never done?
Right.
Right? Like, I mean, and I can't just fire off random like examples right now, but I can already tell I've had 2 classes so far, but I know that how my brain is like firing now. I want to learn,
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to school.
Yeah.
Like I want to learn.
Your brain is rich soil right now.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's go.
Right. But it's the same thing when I go to meetings,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
when we do group, like anything that is this thing that I was saying was causing fatigue, but I think the fatigue portion was more just kind of sometimes, you need to take a step back and kind of glance down at what's going on, just to be aware. And it's like, okay, well, I did this today and this today and this today and this today and this today. All of them are recovery. Good. But then, I didn't get to the point, but I said something about it before I got to the point where I'm like, okay, so I have to go to a meeting tomorrow.
Right.
I have to
Exactly.
do this.
Yeah.
I have to do that. I guess I'll get up and go do this. Like, I don't want that
Right.
feeling.
You get to do these things.
Right. Right.
And that's a fucking gift.
Yeah. Yeah. But, this stuff doesn't get fixed overnight. I
No.
mean,
No,
this is a
and
lifelong thing.
That I've been thinking about that as well, like thinking to myself, it's been over 2 years and you're still feeling like, okay, 2 years versus 20 whatever years of drinking and using something. It's like, that's going to take some time to rewire. And, I mean, it was using substances was a part of my identity. Everything I did was around that, hanging with friends, family. It's still a huge part of my family. And, being around that as a sober person, I've gotten used to it for sure, but like, I'm a different person.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, and the people that I would, I guess, party around and stuff, like they weren't a part of my life towards the tail end of, the mess that I was just like, that's it. I'm kind of at a point where I'm growing my social circle.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not even going to make a joke. Like I was going to say, if you could call it that, but I mean, it really is. It's kind of like,
You totally have a circle. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to, but do a little, for lack of a better reference, like separation of church and state. Like I've had my therapist ask, well, have you like asked anybody at AA meetings to go do something? And I just said, I don't know. I just don't, not that I feel like I shouldn't do it. Like who cares? Right. It's just, I haven't had that instant where you're like, we should hang out.
Right.
Or something. It just, that's how I've been with friends my whole life though.
Mm-hmm.
Substances or not. If you don't seem like somebody I want to hang out with, I'm not trying to force an awkward situation.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. Like there still has to be a connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just because we have this thing in common.
Right.
But if that's the only thing in common, no one says you have to hang out. Right.
Right.
So,
You're at a meeting.
Yeah, I'm totally open to the idea. It's just not something that happens quickly.
No. Oh my God, no.
You
No.
know, especially in a meeting setting, unless you are able to see these people before or after a little bit. But sometimes, you know, you get to a meeting and came from somewhere else and you've got to you get there at right when it starts.
Yeah.
And there's no screwing around in there, you know,
Right,
maybe a
right.
laugh or two, but it's serious.
Right.
So, you know, I try to find things that are going on to try and do something outside of the meeting setting, but
Right.
it's just not happening quickly. And that's okay. I'm not, that doesn't stress me out or anything. It's just, I know myself. And if I get to the point where I'm starting to potentially overthink something,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll talk myself out of it being necessary or get mad at it.
Right.
I gotta do this again. I'm
Mhm.
listening to the same stories, all this, you know, because I
Red
don't think
flag, yeah.
I don't think that way about meetings.
No.
Like still, every time I leave one, I'm like, okay, you know. But I try to set myself up for success in a meeting because I've definitely heard people at meetings say this. It feels like everybody's saying the same thing and I'm saying the same thing and stuff like that. And actually, wait, I can't remember if that was the meeting that you were at. It might have been the week before, but I was at the same meeting that we went to that one Saturday. And someone had said that. And I kind of was like, do you mind if I offer some feedback? And I said, well, I just try to, when I go to a meeting, I just want to walk away with I want one takeaway. That's the goal I set, you know, because you don't want to go, I need some life-changing news today.
Right.
Well, okay, that's you setting yourself up for failure, right? Or disappointment. So yeah, just one takeaway. I mean, there's 20, 30 people in there sometimes. You're going to get something that you've never heard.
Right. And if you're feeling the same things, like it's a benefit to hear how other people are dealing with them, or maybe you'll understand how you're feeling in a different way.
Right.
And that's powerful.
Like the best meetings are the ones where, I don't know, you've been to meetings, but like I've been to a lot lately, and the head nodding, there's so much head nodding.
Oh my God.
And
It's like, do you resonate with that?
yeah, but I mean, most of this stuff, when someone says something that's like, oh yeah, you know, you just look around and people are like,
yep.
but no one's making eye contact.
Right.
They're just staring at the ground like, God,
Right.
yes, I'm guilty of this so much. It's actually kind of funny, but I like the ones where someone will say something and they're almost trying to become comfortable in our own skin without a substance, because whether it's true or not, probably more often not, that you're the life of the party and you have like all this charisma and all this stuff. And in essence, when people really look at, they're like, you look like a clown.
Look at that drunk asshole.
Yeah, you look like a clown. People like build off of each other's story, or they'll kind of end like they started a thought and they just can't get to where they want to go, which is completely fine on a number of levels. I mean, like most of us, especially if you're early in, I actually made a joke a couple of late Friday meetings, maybe like 3 of them ago, because people were like on a roll and like 5 people in the same meeting sitting in different areas were like, I lost my train of thought.
Ooh, I relate to that.
Oh, it's so when I finally shared, I was like, first, and then someone next to me had like a sweet mustache. So I was like, high five on the mustache, like, you know, got everybody to laugh. And I said, for those of you who keep losing your train of thought, I had to really try and think what I was gonna say over and over and over, so I didn't. But we're all there. No worries. No worries. Yeah. But like, I like when people kind of get halfway there, and then someone across the room will be like, they'll say their name like right after, and be like, I'm so glad you said that. It made me think of, you know, and then people are like firing off each other. Yes.
It's like, yes, that's it.
Those are the good ones.
Yeah. You learn the language of what's going on in your mind that you don't maybe have touch with right now.
Right. But like the power of a group is like the strength of the unit is obviously you've got to be comfortable enough to share. You're not, no one's saying you have to have this all thought out.
No.
Right? If you get inspired, just start saying something. And if you can't finish your thought, you can't finish your thought. But I guarantee it's going to resonate with someone else. Because I've been to enough meetings where it's a negative vibe, or you've got like an old timer guy who's like big book thumping.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, okay, what's your point? You know, like, I don't understand what's your point? Like, are we supposed to follow? Like, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what I'm supposed to take away from what you just said,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it shouldn't be that difficult to have a takeaway from a share at an AA meeting.
Right.
So, but it's just one of those things where that explains a lot about the stuff where I think our difficulties growing a new social situation, because we're almost learning how to function in a group sober. And if you don't go to a whole bunch of meetings, or if, you could be working a totally different program. It has nothing, it doesn't have to be AA or NA or any of that stuff. But outside of that setting, it's not like we run into a lot of these situations where we have to practice this stuff in public.
Right.
You're not at the grocery store where all of a sudden, like, someone's like, it's you're in line and they're like, it's your turn. You've got to say your name and, like, I have a coupon.
Here's my
like,
life story.
yeah. So we're not in those situations where we are compelled to say anything.
Yeah.
To anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Work is work. Home life is home life. Whatever happens in between, you might not interact with a single person. So you have to almost go out of your way to create new opportunities.
Yeah. And, if there are people in your circle that are remaining in your circle who maybe aren't on the same journey as you, like my circle has always been very small outside of family. Only have a couple girlfriends that I still am really close to, but they aren't on the same path as me. They're still, using that's their own journey. I'm not, but when I re-entered those circles in sobriety, it's an adjustment, a big time adjust. And you don't, I remember not feel like, do I fit here? Do they think I'm not as fun? All the things that go through your head. And I get what I really realized. I mean, I think a lot of the confidence that I've built has come from being in rooms with people who still drink and being the sober person.
Yeah.
Like, look at all these fucking...
At a minimum, I don't look like that.
And it's just, I put my head down at night and don't have to wake up with a hangover. And, it's just like this inner peace. And you psychoanalyze people as well. So it is a confidence, but I haven't built that other than our group that we have for program, our small little group of 6 people. I don't have a bigger community that I've built, and it, you and I get together more often than any of the other groups, but I need to. That feels like a need for me to have more people in my life that are walking the same path.
Yeah, you said something that kind of struck a chord with me. So, when you said, like, you're kind of in your head for a second if you're out and about with people that you've known for a while, but you're sober now. But none of the thoughts were about that. Did you notice that until the end when you kind of said, at least I don't look like that? Mm-hmm. We were like jokingly, but serious. All the thoughts were about yourself. They weren't about the group. So it was, are they accepting of me? What do they think of me?
Right.
Am I still fun? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like all this stuff instead of, like, just being in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Which is so hard.
It's so hard.
It's so hard because you feel like you're under a microscope, even when you're not.
Oh, no, not at all.
I guarantee we think about that stuff way more than anyone we're around.
Yeah.
They might have a thought like, oh, I can't open a bottle of wine. And then whatever. That we'll approach those situations as they come. But yeah, I guarantee we're more like, ooh, they probably don't want to hang out with me anymore. And, maybe they're not having a good time, or are they holding back and all this stuff. And they might have had one thought, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
We've done all the thinking.
They definitely aren't thinking about me being sober. They still let loose like they did when I was drinking. I might have egged it on a little bit more, but yeah, it's almost like a grief, maybe, of like a sadness of like how that's how we used to connect.
Yeah.
All drinking together and fun, but then like seeing it as a sober person for what it is and it's just a drunken mess of people not remembering what they were saying the next day. It's like, that's not connection. That's not,
Yeah, I was a poet last night.
you know,
No, you
like
weren't.
it's really not. Like you always hear like alcohol or substances, like people get more vulnerable and weepy and all that stuff. And it's like, I would have come to me when you're sober and tell me how much I mean to you, not when you're 6 whiskeys deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like seeing that, being faced with like, okay, those thoughts in my head originally at the beginning of being sober, worried about not being fun, worried about not having connection with people, and then being confronted with the fact that it's not connection at all and it never has been and it never will be. Like that's a stark reality to shift in your mind.
Yeah. And I was like such a weird thing too, because like I think you've gotten to know me sober, and like you put me in a room, I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
That's not like a thing for me.
No.
But so when I would generally use situations where everybody was drinking as like drinking was almost the baseline. Here's kind of the reason we're all here.
Right.
We're at a bar,
Exactly.
we're at a party. Like, here's the reason we're all here. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
So it almost made everyone else loosen up.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't make me loosen up. It made everyone else loosen up. So then I could get because some
people to
people
talk
are
to
just
you.
boring
Yeah.
or shy
Yeah.
or whatever, like socially awkward. I mean, there's so many things, but then they have like, I'm not saying they have to have 35. They have 2 drinks and they're just relaxed.
Right.
They're a little bit more relaxed, and I'm not even asking anybody to be open. Just have a
Like,
conversation.
don't be awkward.
Laugh.
Yeah.
You know, I know you have a personality. Like I know it, but people get weird.
Right.
So
that's the underlying issue.
I almost used like the alcohol more for like everybody else's social lubricant, not my own.
Yeah.
You know, and then unfortunately, like I would take it too far,
Mm-hmm.
like my own drinking. Like I wasn't trying to get other people to drink a bunch. Like it was me. It was only me who was staying when they would leave.
Yeah.
It was only me who would leave where I was at after they left hours ago to go to another place.
Or go home and continue drinking by yourself.
So I didn't do that.
I did that.
If I was out, I'd go home. I was done. I wasn't.
You weren't going home until
If I'm going bar to bar to bar, I'm not going home to drink by myself. I wasn't drinking alone until the end.
I drank alone a lot.
I mean, COVID, and then not for a long time, and then like the last 6 months of use.
Yeah.
Probably 3 months is when it got like bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it went completely from being with other people to not wanting to be around anyone, drinking, only drinking by myself.
Mm-hmm. Interesting how that shifts.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's its own thing.
That's its own topic.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and I've fortunately, you know, I did find it very helpful to learn the science.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Alcohol is just doing what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or just drugs in general. Like
literally.
Yeah. I mean, it's so simple when you watch it, like when you see it, like that, you know, I think we joked about it, but like I tell people now, go see Pleasure Unwoven, like go see, it's on YouTube. So for those of you listening, if you want something that, well, if you want a bunch of B-roll about a guy driving around in Utah, it's delightful. He's in his Honda CRV driving around, you know, hey Honda, hit us up. But he takes moments of his scenic driving to go into some points and just talks about how a substance, like how your brain functions without a substance.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of shows this scale of how certain situations affect your dopamine. So let's say you eat a piece of chocolate and your dopamine spikes because you like the taste. You get the energy from the sugar, like all of the above.
My dopamine is spiking from this
right.
diet.
There you go.
Dr.
She's
Pepper
got a Diet Dr. Pepper. Hit us up. So, I don't know what this is. I'm holding a stress ball. Hit us up. But yeah, so like, or laughter. Laughter spikes your dopamine. These are like natural dopamine spikes. Or like a hug, you know, like emotions, stuff like that. So if you start to drink or use, let's just say for us, like alcohol or pot. So if you use those things regularly, eventually your brain only understands how to get dopamine spikes when that substance is present. And like if you, let's say, like hold two hands like one over the other about like 2 feet apart, and then think about the middle of that line. The middle of that line, so at the 1 foot line, is your baseline. So if your dopamine spikes, it pops up and hits the 2 foot line, like, just, I don't know what, like a graph or whatever you call it.
A graph.
Whatever, something.
Whatever.
Something, yeah, just think about that in sciencey, nerdy terms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a nerd, so it's fine. But then when you start to use a substance, it kind of caps you at baseline. So the only thing that gets you to baseline is your substance. Laughter doesn't do it for you anymore. Food, any kind of enjoyment, sex, anything, it doesn't get you above baseline.
Right.
So people don't do those things anymore. That's why so many people who enjoy activities, they play sports, they exercise, they go to comedy shows, they do podcasts, they're writers, whatever. They don't do it anymore because they don't find joy in it anymore, because their brain is completely rewired to only find, and it's not even joy, to only find baseline dopamine from your substance of choice until your brain basically has to unlearn
Currently
all of that and then return to your baseline, then start to like normalize. That's why they say that, kind of getting sober for the first time, depending on time of use, could take people 1.5 years to 2 years for some of these things to subside.
Yeah.
So
speaking from truth, right there.
I mean, it's
over 2 years in.
It's effing scary.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? It's not scarier than waking up and not knowing how you got home.
No, I mean, it's scary.
It's worth it. It's a good scary.
It's scary if you don't possess that information and then you look at what you were doing.
Yeah.
So that's what scares me, kind of like the path I was on and no clue that you're on that path and no clue that your brain functions this way now.
Yeah.
This is your normal now.
Yeah.
Good luck finding any kind of joy outside of
that's horrible.
Drinking. Right?
So
like
depressing.
it's absolutely terrible, but what most people who are alcoholics or addicts or both have cross addiction, it could be, let's add in gambling, whatever, just things that you have an addictive personality. And let's say, all right, well, I'm drinking too much, so I've got to stop doing that. Well, instead, I'll just start smoking weed. Okay, you know what? I'm smoking weed too much. You know what? Maybe I'll start exercising, which you think is a good thing until you turn it into an addiction.
An addiction, and then an eating disorder.
Right. So I'm telling you guys, like, some of you may know this, some of you may not. I'm not trying to educate but from a position of higher learning. It's just like stuff that I've learned in the last 6 months of my life.
Educate yourself.
It's crazy.
Educate yourself on the science behind it. Dopamine Nation is a really good book. I listened to it right before we started program. It does a really good job of explaining exactly what you were just talking about.
And one thing that we definitely want to do too on this podcast is find other podcasts and find people who are amazing writers.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that they have to come on the show. I want to highlight them.
Right.
I have no problem. It's not like I'm fearing competitors. You know what I mean? Podcast is a podcast. You could literally have one listener for the rest of your life and you could do 90 episodes. You know what? It's therapeutic.
This is my therapy.
It's therapeutic to do it. Right? This may be someone's only therapy. You may not have the means to be able to do it.
Right, exactly.
I'm not saying we're therapists, but you know what? We're talking about our problems. We're talking about our stuff. We're talking about what we've learned. Email us.
Yes. If you're feeling like just how Jason was saying that with his recovery fatigue, of just saying it out loud. If you're feeling any type of way right now, whether you're in active addiction, recovery, whatever, just email us about it. Just put it in writing. That's the first step. Acknowledge it, become aware of it. It loses some of its power.
That's very true. Yeah,
it does.
That's very true. I don't know if you ever do this, and this is probably something I'll I'll actually work on with the people as I get further into the program. I believe, what is that? Step 9, I think it is. The
I don't know, step 9.
No, but you know what I'm saying. When you amends. Yeah.
Making amends.
Yes. But I'll write emails to people, but there's no one in the to line. I just write it.
Yeah.
I just write it to
Great exercise.
because I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Well, I'm assuming most of you can relate to this, but in addiction, a lot of bridges are burned. There's a lot of lying. There's a lot of dishonesty. There's a lot of stuff you don't even remember you're doing. I mean, I swear I was in like borderline psychosis and believed the stuff I was saying. I didn't think it was a lie. I didn't even know it was a lie. Like there was such a fine line between reality and wherever I was living. But yeah, I've currently have a lot of situations where I have no closure on.
Mm-hmm.
None.
Mm-hmm.
Whatsoever. It was just that relationship was just cut off. And didn't even have to be a romantic relationship. I'm talking about family.
Yeah.
I'm talking about friends, coworkers, whatever. No closure or any kind. So it's just so open-ended that I'm not even really aware of what the last conversations were or how it all ended, other than we probably shouldn't talk anymore or something like that.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I handled very well. Top notch handling of rejection. Yes, that's a big strength of mine. Is I have a significant fear of abandonment. I'm aware of it.
Yeah,
like I know when that kind of started. Now I've really dug in.
Oh yeah.
Now I've really dug in, and I
deep.
really know, and it's not what anybody would think it is. And I don't know. I don't really know that I'm going to go down my personal rabbit hole too much, but it was something like as a child that I didn't even think was. Well, you know what? Maybe everybody else can relate on this one too. If say you walk into a therapist or you're in a program or whatever, and they ask if you ever experienced any traumas, I think I had such a gruesome definition of trauma. So I never said yes because I don't know. Like I wasn't abused. Like I didn't witness a horrific accident.
That complex trauma.
Right. But I didn't, unless you're educated on it, you have no clue.
Little T trauma.
Certain things can be traumatizing. So, but I mean, yeah,
but getting sober gave you access to that part of your brain to be able to make those connections.
But I just know, and I think this is kind of the standard thing too. If you get hurt, let's just use a relationship as an example, like a romantic relationship. If you get hurt, or actually no, even just a friendship, someone that is like a very close confidant that you, whether it's defined or not, become codependent on because that one person is giving you more attention than anyone else. So you get dependent on that situation. Like I'm definitely guilty of that. But, you get stung, you get hurt, you put up a wall, and then it takes forever. And then you let it down, and then you get hurt. And then you're like, with each
confirmation there.
With each time, though, like let's say you string together 10 in your life, you get more messed up as a result. And you don't work through number 1, let alone number 9.
And then what are the stories what are the stories you're telling yourself about yourself from those?
What's true, what's not.
What core beliefs have come from those, and that shapes your entire life.
Right. And I like to think that I'm like scary with how forthcoming I am with information, which is probably true in most instances. But what I'm coming to find is I wasn't truthful about the stuff that I didn't even realize.
Well, you couldn't be.
Yeah, right. I know. So I don't think I'm like lying about it. I just mean for real. Like
your brain.
Someone would ask me something, and I would answer so quickly because I had no idea. And then now I dig back, and I'm like, oh crap. Okay.
It's like I hope you have compassion for yourself. Your brain has just been trying to protect you.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. No, I don't dump on myself about it. It's just more.
Yeah, you don't. You're not a self dumper.
No. No. Yeah, I poop with help. No, it's yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely guilty of that, but I generally try to understand why I'm doing it though. Like I don't run into the pattern of just beating myself up for the sake of beating myself up. Well, there is so much truth to the statement of like we're our own worst critic. It's accurate, but that's kind of how it should be, right?
It should be.
You
Yeah,
shouldn't
you're
walk
right.
into a room and be criticized by everyone in it.
Right.
Like I want to be better.
Assholes.
I want to be better and learn something new each day.
Right. Isn't
But then
that
you
kind of how
put
you
these
grow?
pressures on yourself, and then when you fail, then it's kind of like, well, if I'm failing at this, I'm going to suck at that before you even do anything.
Mhm.
And then it's just all negative,
Right.
negative self-talk.
Mhm.
And you don't know you're doing it.
Right.
You just don't know.
Mhm.
And that's when you start to be in a group setting and you get the head nods because people aren't just agreeing with it. I think they're hearing it for the first time and understanding it for the first time.
Yeah.
That's when you get the good head nods where people are like, holy shit.
Like you just fucking blew their mind.
Holy shit. You know what? I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you're like, and this isn't a spiral, but then all of a sudden your mind expands a bit and you're like, do I approach every situation like this? Like, do I really do social work, family, any setting? Is this like the filter that I process all of my actions through? Yeah. And for me, 100%. Without ever knowing it. And again, like that's those things where people will ask me about something and I'll be like, no, but I have no fucking ideas, like none. Right. So I am actually blowing my mind sometimes because it's like, what the holy crap? Like, what? Do you realize? And this is a whole nother episode because we're almost at time, but like the stuff that when you start to work on your mental health, and obviously I'm including recovery for me, but like recovery is mental health is such a broad term. Recovery, substance use, abuse, all that stuff is a part of mental health. But like, I don't think people understand how much unlearning, basically forgetting half the stuff that you've learned with using that filter.
Right.
So things like, and you're younger than me, but I mean like, so I'd say the millennial generation and like whatever the new ones are, I don't know. I don't even know what the hell that is.
No, I'm a millennial.
Yeah. But, and I only use this distinction because like there was such a difference in like when I was younger, we didn't have the internet, so like you had to go to the library and stuff. Like, it was, people were like, you need to get a damn job. Like, like I'm old enough that it was like, you're getting a job.
Yeah.
And, then I was like, whatever, I get money. That's fine. I don't mind that. But like, don't be a quitter. Don't air your dirty laundry. Always be the best. Like stuff like that. And those are not bad lessons in certain contexts. Don't air your dirty laundry should just mean don't walk into a room full of strangers and unburden yourself and make everyone in the room uncomfortable. Reasonable, not believing in therapy or confiding in the people that love you. Unreasonable. I think we don't see the distinction.
No.
Because you learn this stuff at a very young age.
Yeah. I think there's also just a lack of emotional intelligence throughout the entire world.
Right. I actually, at residential, my parents came and we had a parent meeting, and like my mom said, it's almost like you're this age, but you're still a teenager.
Yep.
Like, not like in everything that I do, but no, but I mean, I didn't take offense. I was kind of like, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's really when like my late teens, it's not like I was 14 crushing drinks, but like late teens, but that's when I started drinking. And so there's a lot of obviously intertwined stuff in that, in the sense that, I've matured in certain ways and in certain situations, but as far as accountability, no, not at all.
It's fine.
Right. No, yeah. But I mean, it's true. But I mean, like, as I brought this up at multiple AA meetings, but you're like, you're kind of sitting there and people are saying stuff. And I constantly be like, I'll share. I'm like, hi, I'm Jason. I'm an alcoholic. God, this thought keeps coming to me, but it's like, we have to unlearn so much shit.
Oh my God. Our entire fucking existence.
So much shit you have to unlearn and then proceed with caution, right? Like, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just the older you are, the harder it is.
Yes.
So that's why, like, I go to a young person's meeting. That's what tonight is.
Oh, good.
And I really like seeing it because there are some 20-year-olds in there. You know what I mean? Like some people who found sobriety, and I'm like, I'm so like inspired. I'm so happy for them. Like, good. You don't have to add 20 or 30 more years to this.
Right.
Do you know how like fortunate you are?
Yeah.
And how brave you are.
Right.
Like, I respect the hell out of these
So do
people.
I. Yeah. What generation is it? Is it
I don't know.
Zoomers?
I'll have to Google it. Zoomers.
I don't know, but the generation below the millennials, we need a fact check. But
yeah,
they are just drinking. Like my nieces, like, are in high school and they have no interest in alcohol in any way, shape, or form. Like, it's just a lot of the younger generation, they're just drinking less.
Yeah.
And those are the facts.
I do hear that
They're just vaping.
Unfortunately, pills seem to be a thing, and
Prescription? Like Oxy and stuff?
but they don't get prescriptions, and so then now it's the terrifying shit that everything is laced with everything. It's not cool, man. Like, that stuff scares the shit. I'm not saying, hey, if you're going to do something, drink. Just, you shouldn't be playing Russian roulette every time you use.
No. Oh my, yeah, that's terrifying. I've never taken a pill in my life. I'm so scared of them.
Outside of like post-surgery.
Outside of the Norco I had when I got my tonsils out last year.
No, like, I've never taken anything recreationally. Like, and I don't feel I'll take it right after surgery because you need it.
Yeah.
Because your body's like, bro.
If you're struggling with pills, it's okay.
It's okay.
Just slide in our DMs.
Yeah. Email us. Talk about your problems with pills. gratitudepowerhour@gmail.com. And on that note, we're a little over an hour. But you get on a roll. It's hard to just do a hard stop. Thank you very much for listening. Wow. Listening.
Thanks for listening.
I just put my retainer in.
He had the list.
I was able to hold. I hit it for an hour. I just smacked the mic. Yeah, thank you for listening. We appreciate you. We're working on actually bringing in. Well, the studio is not exactly huge for guests, but we can have one in-person guest. But we're also going to do some video interviews and stuff. I'm trying to line that up, and then hopefully we'll meet some people on the socials.
Yeah, on the social
possibly
medias.
from other podcasts or from writers. I think writers would be excellent.
Yeah, it would be so cool.
If you guys have anybody that you follow on social or that you read, I've become obsessed with reading about this stuff. So please share. Because we'll share like a book list and stuff too.
Yeah.
Wait, now I feel like I'm ripping off Oprah, but doesn't she have a book list or something?
She has a book club. So does Reese Witherspoon.
Who? Oh.
Everybody has a fucking book club.
I'm sorry. I've never referred to Reese Witherspoon as just Reese.
She's Reese. You knew.
I didn't go right there. I didn't. I was like, who the fuck is Reese? All right. Apologies for the last minute F-bomb. Again, yeah, thank you so much for listening. Shelby, thank you for enduring listening to me babble on for an hour.
Oh, it's my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite new hobby.
All right. We'll try and get other people to talk a lot. Your favorite new hobby.
It is.
All right.
I told you we're looking for hobbies.
It's been a pleasure. We appreciate you guys. Tell your friends.
Yeah,
and
sending you love.
Email us and, gratitudepowerhour@gmail.com and be kind to yourself.
Grateful for y'all.
Yeah, we're grateful for you. We're grateful for each
Jason.
other. And be kind to yourself because sometimes other people aren't.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, I can't say we'll talk to you next week because I don't know when we'll talk to you, but there will be an additional episode at some point in the future.
At some point.
Follow us on social. Bye.